Dr. Mark Hitchcock, and we're here for another episode of Marking the Times. We thank you so much for watching and following along with us every week. You can go to marklhitchcock.com or go to our Facebook page and send in questions you might have about Bible prophecy or other topics. And we'll answer some of those questions. Answered a really good question last week that I enjoyed talking about. As I said last time, I was kind of waiting to hear about what President Trump was going to do about the Iran nuclear deal and kind of give you an update on that this week. And of course, yesterday, President Trump announced that he's going to pull the United States out of the Iran nuclear deal. And there's going to be a lot of fallout from that. I'm sure a lot of ramifications that will come about in the next few days and weeks and months from that. I think it was the right move to make. It really just kind of brings things into focus. It just doesn't allow us to kind of keep kicking the can down the road. It really causes people to face reality, I think, today with what's happening in Iran. But what I think is fascinating about this is in Time magazine yesterday, it came out and says this: Israel attacked Syria an hour after the Iran deal was ended, says a report. So 1 hour after the Iran deal was ended, the United States pulled out of it, Israel struck in Syria, and they struck a missile battery there that was pointed at Israel that was an Iranian missile battery. And so Israel now, I think, is seen over time since this Iran nuclear deal was brought to pass, that Iran now has been a lot more aggressive than they have been before. In fact, in the New York Times, just about a month ago, or a little less than a month ago, there's an article that says, "Are Iran and Israel headed for their first direct war?" And it talks about how back in February, Iran sent a drone up into the Golan Heights area that Israel shot down. This is the first time that Iran did something directly against Israel rather than through just one of their proxies. Round two took place on April the 9th when Israeli jets launched a missile attack on the home base of that drone in Syria, and some Iranian military personnel were killed in that attack. And then we just had round three yesterday when these Israeli jets went into Syria, hit this missile battery there, and some Iranian soldiers again were killed in that. So the rhetoric is ratcheting up as well as the military aggression. There's a real deepening sense of crisis there in that land, and it's kind of like the enemies are encircling Israel and kind of closing in. Iran has been using the money from that Iran nuclear deal to ratchet up its aggression. Really, Israel and Iran have been in what's called a shadow war since 1979, since the Islamic Revolution. But what's been a shadow war could now very easily become a shooting war. In fact, Israeli troops are on high alert, especially up on the Golan Heights. Some reservists have been called into duty. The Iron Dome, which is a missile defense system in Israel in the north, has been activated. So there's just this sense now with what's happening over there that Israel has now been emboldened by this, and they want to get Iran out of Syria. Iran says they're not going to leave Syria. So you really have a head-on collision between these two nations, and really it's a showdown that's taking place in Syria. And of course, the importance of this biblically is, in Ezekiel 38, it tells us that in the latter years and the last days, that Iran and a group of other Islamic nations, along with Russia, will come down and invade Israel in the end times, an invasion from the north. And obviously, Iran and Russia have troops right now poised right on the northern border of Israel in Syria. So what we see happening there, again, it's a foreshadow, it's a setting of the stage of what the Bible predicts. And I think a lot of things are going to begin to happen over there in that part of the world. Iran now, they're going to really not have the motivation to behave well. They're going to see that their economy is going to get hit by these U.S. sanctions. So who knows what they're going to do. They say they're going to retaliate against Israel. Israel says if they retaliate, they're not going to take that sitting down. So again, the article that I mentioned just a moment ago that says, are Israel and Iran headed for their first direct war? Well, that could be. And it could be that that's on the near horizon. That could be the war of Ezekiel 38 and 39 predicted over 2,500 years ago by the prophet Ezekiel. So we'll wait and see. We'll have some more further updates in the weeks ahead. So stay tuned for those. God bless you, and thank you again for joining us.